Hello and welcome to the Nintendo Switch Online Game Club, the show where we play through the games available on Nintendo's various NSO apps completely at random. I'm your host, Derrick, and in this episode I'm joined by two returning guests for their second go-around. First up is Naveed Mohebbi, who last time played Light Crusader. How you doing, Naveed?
I'm doing well. That game was pretty good. I hope this game is as good as that one.
We can only hope. And joining him is Trav Guy, who last time played Ninja Gaiden on the NES. How you doing, Trav?
I'm still afraid.
You're still afraid. Maybe you should be. I don't know yet. This is probably the most mystery game we've ever gotten. But before that, as you're both likely aware, there are now over 200 games across the NSO, and while some are widely known like Super Mario Bros. And Zelda, there are some odd picks that could be considered hidden gems. We honestly don't know. So what we do is enter all those games into a randomizer, pick one, and then give our initial thoughts. And this week, the Wheel of Games has chosen Spanky's Quest for the Super Nintendo, which I think is just right in there as what is this? Because I'll be honest, one of the first things I did was go to Wikipedia after we got this game to look it up, and the Game Boy version has a Wikipedia entry. The SNES version does not. I have no idea how similar they are.
Yeah.
I think that bodes well. That bodes very well for the Super Nintendo version of the game.
Yeah, so when I look up Spanky's Quest SNES, I get the Wikipedia article and then a Reddit post right under it that says, this game is really good, with comments underneath it saying it's a hidden gem of the Super Nintendo. So maybe it'll end up being good.
I don't know if I can trust Reddit users.
No, I don't either, but, frame of reference, control group.
I'm not even 100% sure what kind of game it is, because I look at the cover and I just think platformer. I'm pretty sure platformer.
Yeah, that's what I thought immediately when I heard it, because I got it mixed up with Mr. Nuts. I thought it was the squirrel game, Mr. Nuts, but no, it's the monkey game, Spanky's Quest. But I don't know anything about it either, so I'm gonna go in blind.
I think we're kind of all going in blind. It's one of those weird things where none of us have played this before, none of us have really heard about it before, and there's not really a lot of information out there, so it's hard to give those preconceptions in that same way. But I guess it is SNES Natsume. And
I was going to ask,
Natsume,
who the publisher was.
In the SNES era made some pretty damn good games. So
they released Pokken Rocky. That was really good.
They have Wild Guns. That's really good.
Yeah, very good.
Oh, I love Wild Guns. And
I mean, this is certainly something different, but I don't know.
This looks like a game where you bounce bubbles on his head and then they explode into basketballs, and I don't know.
That makes me more intrigued.
Yeah, that makes complete sense.
So it's a sports game.
Well, it has a single director on Game Boy and two directors on the... Oh, no, it's programmers, not directors. I'm trying to, just try to find anything that I can grab here. So I'm just going to grab this name and see what this guy has done before. Satoshi Yoshikawa. I got nothing.
Nothing. Okay. Nothing on Mohebbi Games or anything like that?
Here we go. Here's something. Apparently did the 2D design on Donkey Kong Barrel Blast and the level designs for Klonoa on the Wii, so there's that.
Okay.
The Klonoa part's okay. I was a little bit wary about Donkey Kong Barrel Blast, but of course that was just art stuff. So.
Apparently he was a producer on one of the games we've played on Game Club already, SCAT, the Special Cybernetic Attack Team.
Okay.
What a
NES game.
Yeah, another NES game. So that's
another
something.
Weird name too. I'm gonna love saying Spanky's Quest throughout this whole time playing this game. Just great name.
Looks like the most recent thing he did was as an artist on Patapon 3 on the PSP.
Okay.
Ooh.
I wonder if he's working on the new. I forgot what it was called, but there was a Kickstarter for the new Patapon. It's not called Patapon, but it's a spiritual successor to Patapon. I wonder if he's on the team for that.
Maybe.
That'd be interesting.
Guys, I think we're in for a treat. Nintendo Power rated this game 3 out of 5.
What,
Oh, man.
wasn't Nintendo Power notably like, yeah, this game's always all good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they rarely
Yeah.
said anything bad about their games.
Oh boy.
Rataron is the game I was thinking of. That's the Patapon spiritual successor.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm desperately looking. This is like such an I've never seen. I've seen the other games with much less information about it, but there's so weird that there's like, it's so scattershot.
It's one of
Wait.
those games I've heard of just in passing a bunch because you can't forget the name, like I mentioned a bunch, but I just have never looked into it, never watched videos or anything. Obviously, never played it, so I don't know, it's such a weird pick, and it's so weird that it's on NSO. Like that's the funny part to me.
Yeah, it's an interesting interesting pick, I guess is the better way to put that. And I'm looking through, and the composer on this is sort of all over the place as well. Like he did the sound effects for Resident Evil Code Veronica. He programmed the sound driver for the Oracle's games on Game Boy Color.
Okay.
He did the sound programming for Final Fantasy II on the Wonder Swan Color. So, again, very, very odd, just random.
Apparently, the Super Nintendo version is a tie-in game between an actual like monkey like guy that would like handle a monkey for shows, like performances, in Japan, named Taro Murasaki. I didn't get that.
Oh.
In
Yeah, and his monkey is
pronounced right.
named Jiro. I'm seeing it here. And the
So
game in Japan is called Monkey Reflections: The Adventures of Mr. Jiro.
So it's based on a real monkey, or it's based on like a cartoon monkey?
I think it's based on a real monkey.
A real
Okay.
This
A
guy
real-
just was a showman that had a monkey, and here you go.
Okay. So Spanky's Quest, based on a true story.
Somehow we went from went from Jiro to Spanky. I don't know how that works, but sure.
American what is it? Localization is wild.
Yes. We do have a little bit of storyline here just for anything to grab onto, but I think we're pretty much running dry. It has a storyline in which Spanky is trapped in a tower by an evil witch named Morticia. It has to defeat Morticia and find his way out of the tower. There you go.
That sounds a lot
Based
like
on a true story.
yeah, based on a true. That sounds a lot more dastardly than I expected. I thought
Yeah.
Spanky's Quest sounded pretty like, happy-go-lucky, but yeah, it's also like one of those games that came out around like the time of mascot platformers, so I assume
Yeah.
that's what they were going for. Trying to
Yeah.
get something going with
Yeah, I
monkey.
guess that's the best I got. It's like, yeah, sure, we'll localize this. Why not? Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty tapped. I at this point, it's just like all I can do is play it and see what the heck this game's all about. So,
Same.
any other thoughts from you guys?
Definitely running dry on information.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you have it. We'll see you all in a week, or just a little bit of time for all of you, after we play some Spanky's Quest for the Super Nintendo. Till then. And we're back after a week of playing Spanky's Quest for the Super Nintendo. What did we think of this game that there was so little information about? Is it actually a bit of a cult classic, a hidden gem? Did we finally stumble upon one of these? Naveed, let's start with you. What did you end up thinking about Spanky's Quest?
I was surprisingly, I liked it. It was decent. Like I think, did we talk about the Nintendo Power review last time?
I think Trav mentioned it where they were very kind
yeah.
to everything.
It might have been you who mentioned it, Trav. I think it was a 3 out of 5, and we were like, wow, that's really low for Nintendo Power. But
Yeah.
I feel like that score like hits the nail on the head. It's like it's a very 3 out of 5, 7 out of 10, maybe like a 6 out of 10 style game. Very, very simplistic, but it's got like charm. It's got like Super Nintendo charm that, you know, not every game has. And it's like the mechanics are sound. It's like I said, very simple, but the stuff that is there, it's pretty good. So I mean, Spanky as a character is also just, you know, how can you not love Spanky? He's a little monkey who headbutts balls, and then destroys enemies with those balls. Yeah,
That's a good way to put it. What did you end up thinking?
I don't know
Trav?
how else to describe it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I'd probably put it at that 6-7 out of 10 range. I didn't end up beating it because I forgot to use save states, and I put the game down to open up the eShop to buy Paper Mario, and then had to start over.
Oh no.
So at this moment, I have not beaten it yet. But I mean, the game's just really charming. There's moments from the gameplay perspective. I don't know if you guys had the same feeling, but like if you had to jump over an enemy for whatever reason, like one is rushing at you, like these fast enemies, I don't know if like Spanky just can't jump very well or whatever, but it's like you might as well just rewind anyway because you're not making it over that guy.
yeah, their hitboxes were definitely weird. It felt like.
Yeah.
For sure. Sometimes I could make it, but you had to jump really early because he's a slow jumper, and that wonky hitboxes for sure.
Like that's the only part that it's made. Let me back up a little bit. That's the main part, I guess. That's made. Holy shit! I cannot talk. Makes me think like, yeah, this should not be higher than a 7. But I mean, like, there's a lot of charm with it. I really liked the second world, how the clouds in the background are made from like newspapers and stuff. Like, there's a lot of charm to it that I really liked with just the visual design. Even Spanky's sprite when he's just standing there, they could have just done a generic monkey, but he's so adorable the way that he just sits there.
He is super cute, and the funny thing is that while I was playing it, because we weren't quite sure what we were getting into, we knew that this was 5 worlds, 10 levels each, and the levels themselves are pretty short, to the point that in a lot of ways when I was playing through it, I realized that it's kind of described as an action platformer, which it is, but it's almost a puzzle platformer in how you have to figure out how to deal with the enemies and collect the keys, because the core idea is that you need to collect enough keys in order to open up a door to get to the next level. But what's interesting is that there are extra keys, so if you get more keys in an earlier level, you might have to collect less keys for later levels so you can just escape quicker, which I thought was a very clever mechanic. You don't really see that too often. Usually it's just a set amount of keys and you just have to do it this way. And in some ways, I also felt like it almost felt like a Donkey Kong 94 / Mario versus Donkey Kong-esque game with how the levels were laid out, because you're ostensibly in an arena, but how you travel through that arena is what changes up, where you climb ladders, you navigate various platforms, and use Spanky's limited moveset in order to do it. Where it struggles is the bubbles / balls that Spanky uses, because as we said about the wonky jump, sometimes there are times where they start you out in a level and here comes an enemy rushing you. You try to jump, it turns out the platform above you is kind of solid, so you have to be ready to launch a bubble and hopefully hit them, because the main offense here is that you start off with a tiny bubble that gets you a baseball. It does a little bit of damage. We'll do the trick, but it's kind of hard to hit. Hit it with your head once, and it turns into a series of soccer balls that has a nice long line. It does pretty well. Hit it the third time, it becomes a single volleyball. But if it hits somebody, it turns into this circle of volleyball death.
That can be huge. The volleyball can be huge.
Yeah, the volleyballs can do like amazing things.
I like that for bosses.
Yep.
Yeah. And then finally, the fourth hit will get you a line of basketballs that just clears out enemies and gets you a bunch of extra points, which is good because that's how you earn extra lives.
That's like AoE basically almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of how much.
Closest you get to like a screen nuke sort of thing.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And you feel powerful doing that, but you need to be properly set up for it. It's not something you can quickly launch and survive.
Yeah, you kind of have to fling these baseballs if you need like a quick reaction,
Quick kill.
something running at you really fast,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and then you're literally arcing it, so it's incredibly unreliable.
And you can't launch another one until that one is off screen. So
Right.
you have to be extremely accurate with what you do. And I did my best to play through this game rewinding as little as possible. I gave up on that pretty quickly, or else I was not going to beat this game because you get ostensibly 3 or 4 lives.
Something like that. Yeah.
Those aren't lives. Those are hits. You can be hit
Yeah.
4 times and you're dead. And if that happens, game over, reset, here's a password. Except that password is only for the world. You have to get through the 10 levels in that set of lives.
I was going to...
go ahead, Naveed.
I was going to ask about that because immediately I was using save states. I was like, after I beat every level, save state. Mm-hmm. So I never really used any of the passwords. So I was definitely going to ask if one of you guys did and if it brought you back to the beginning of the world or not.
I got a game over on the first world and immediately was like, nope, I'm going to rewind from now on.
Yeah, it is. I was shocked at how brutal that is. Now, granted, it definitely lengthens the gameplay because if you do rewind and have a perfect run, it's maybe an hour and a half to beat everything.
Yeah, not too long.
But having to replay those levels, get really good, and figure out how best to tackle each of them definitely is tricky. And that's where the length comes in, which is fine for those day and ages. Yeah, Infinite continues. You just got to get good at those levels. This is a get good game for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I do want to touch on the key thing that you were talking about earlier, where a lot of levels have extra keys that you can get, but it's interesting as well. Like that mechanic is interesting because you're almost on a timer.
Yes.
Not completely, but after a certain amount of time, there's this crow that will pop in and basically come directly, and you can't damage it with the balls or anything like that. So it'll basically take one of your lives if you take too long in a level. So there is this aspect of having to do everything quickly. And some of those last keys that come in, the extra keys, they are kind of coming in towards the very end of that timer. So you got to it's a little bit of risk reward there. But I did like building up the keys and like finishing a level and having like 5 keys left over for the next level. I thought that was really cool and an interesting mechanic.
Yeah, for sure. And there was actually there were more mechanics than you'd think just looking at this game.
Yeah,
because you mentioned the crow. Did you guys find any of the bonus levels or bonus games? I should say.
I did. I don't know if they were different. It was just kind of bouncing a ball up as many times as I could.
Yeah,
the bonus level that I did.
Yeah, it's always bouncing that bubble, but you just increase your points so you can get extra lives basically if you are good enough at it. But they do change it up later on where I think I found some in World 4 or 5 where there's 2 conveyor belts going opposite directions. So you got to struggle to sort of stay in the middle in order to bounce up the ball. So they do add extra challenge to it. And I didn't bother rewind. I was already rewinding to not die. So I didn't bother trying to rewind to just see what you get. But it's, it's obviously just a way to get extra lives. But again, it's all about that get good. So...
Yeah, I found 2 of those bonus levels, and one of them was super easy. I think the other one I actually failed at, so like I dropped the ball. But you do beat the previous level by going to the bonus room, I think, right?
Yes, you immediately get to go to the next one. I don't know if it uses up the keys. I forgot to check that.
I don't remember either. Yeah, that'd be interesting to find out as well. I don't think it does. I don't think it uses any keys, so maybe that's an extra way to also build up some keys there. So
a mystery to be solved.
Yeah.
Just a nice benefit.
I feel like maybe Spanky's Quest we don't need to learn that mystery. It's
No.
We need a whole
They-
Did You Know gaming episode.
Yeah.
On it. Come on.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, now you mentioned this before. Actually, both of you have. But Trav, one of the other things you get is hats for
Yeah.
Spanky. But you never figured out what those hats do, did you?
I found out that there's one, and I just, for some reason, happened to like hold the button down when I jumped, and I'm like, oh, okay, it slows my descent. It's like this bay hat, hay
straw
bale,
hat.
whatever, straw hat. Thank
Yes.
you. I didn't grow up in this country, but it's just like by happenstance. I just for some reason decided to hold down the jump button, and I figured that out. But there's so many others. Like there's just these enemies wearing hats. You kill them, you take their hat, just like in Kirby, I guess. No, not like Kirby. Whatever. But you just get an ability. I don't know what half of them did.
Yeah, and you
So-
actually looked it up, didn't you, Naveed? I didn't
did.
look it up. I just sort of intonated kind of what they did just based on context clues, but I didn't figure out all of them.
One of them was obvious, which I think it was an early one that I got, which was the top hat. And the top hat, basically, you put it on, you throw a ball out, and then instead of having to hit the ball 3 or 4 times or whatever to get that max basketball AoE attack thing, you just hit it once and it automatically becomes the basketball attack. So that one was really good. There was the Viking hat, which just gives you more hits per life. Basically, it was basically I think
okay.
you get 3 extra hits, so you won't lose a life that way. And then there was the feather hat, which is it kind of looks like a medieval style thing, like fairy thing. I don't know. That just speeds Spanky up, and there were also levels where you had like ice blocks and stuff, so you didn't slip as much with the feather hat. And finally, there was the baseball cap, which that kind of made the ball you throw out follow you, but it wasn't like following you completely.
It sort of just curved back towards you more than it
Yeah.
usually would.
You could still like run past the trajectory of the ball, but if you were like kind of slowly moving around, it would follow you.
Honestly, I hated that hat because I wanted to get it most of the time out away from me so I could actually hit an enemy, and it just would come back and just screw up my angle.
Yeah.
Wasn't there also like a sort of metallic hat that sort of green and
I think
Yeah,
that's
like
the
spiky.
Viking. I think that's the Viking.
is
hat.
that the Viking? It did not look like a
Yeah.
Viking hat to me. I had no idea what
Yeah,
that
it
one
looks like
did.
almost like a regular hard hat but green or something.
Yeah.
It made me think of like Mario Maker when you put the spiny shell on your head,
Sure.
Yeah.
and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, maybe I can headbutt enemies.
Nope,
That was not the case.
not at all.
But those hats are basically like the one mechanic that kind of changes things up in terms of
Yeah.
like normal gameplay, just moving through each level. And they don't really show up until I feel like I didn't get any until after the first world.
I don't think so. No.
I may be mistaken, but I like that's what I feel like I remember.
I remember finding a top hat in the first world and not knowing what it did.
Okay.
And I guess I just was at a point where I didn't need to know what it did because I did not notice it giving me the basketball right away.
yeah.
It really is very dependent on its level design, which for the most part is good. The enemies, there are of course different enemies that act in different ways, but none of them stood out to me that much, other than their just overall theme of being fruit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't want to know the names of these fruit enemies?
Oh,
boy.
yes, please.
Yeah, okay. So according to the manual, we've got orangey. That's the orange.
Ah,
There's-
Okay. I had no
there's
idea.
melon, which is with a U, MELUN.
Maloon.
oh my God,
Lemon,
Lemon.
lemon. There's chestnutty,
Ooh.
straw bee, appley,
These are just impeccable
kiwi,
names.
kiwi, and then the crow that I mentioned earlier. His name's Morty.
Oh, okay.
Okay, sure. Of course, Morty. Naturally.
course.
Not Crowy.
Yeah. So very
you have
unique
the-
and fun characters for sure.
And Does that include the boss names?
Oh no, we didn't. We haven't talked about the bosses, so I'm
Oh,
gonna
okay,
leave
okay.
those for later. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
A little surprise.
But that is the coolest pineapple I've ever seen in gaming.
Oh my god.
I love the sprites for these bosses. My God.
They're huge. Like the thing about this game, I think Trav touched on the visuals a bit. It looks great. Like
Yeah.
huge sprites for the Super Nintendo at the time. I know that was a big thing back then. Looks amazing. And it's so weird because the title screen is like this weird, like off-color version of everything, and it looks not great.
It looks cheap.
Yeah.
And then
looks
you
cheap.
get into the actual gameplay, it looks pretty great. It's like, did they just make that up for the American version? I feel like they did.
It might. I could believe that because the color palette is completely different than the game itself.
I'm just for like the rest of the week going on. I'm just gonna have that, which now that I hum it myself, I'm pretty sure that a similar tune has been used in a Mega Man game.
Might have.
know.
I'm not sure on that one.
Whatever.
Yeah,
Trivial.
yeah.
What tune hasn't been used in a Mega Man game?
Yeah, good point. What'd you guys end up thinking about the bosses now we are on that subject?
You want to go first, Trav?
They were bosses.
Yeah.
It was really cool, just stun locking them with the volleyball over and over until dude. So when I first got to the apple boss, the first one, I hit him because I knew earlier from when I was looking at videos of it during last week's show that like, oh, okay, the volleyball, it just kind of like creates a lingering effect. And so I'm like, okay, I gotta hit the boss with this. And so I didn't know if I was actually doing damage to it. Like, if it was even, like, it mattered between hitting it between that or a baseball. Like, I just couldn't tell. Did it have iframes? Did it matter? That didn't stop me from repeatedly using the volleyball because it felt really cool. But
I do think it does more
There was
damage.
not a lot of feedback there for
No,
my
not at all.
They put
experience.
on a funny face, and that's about it.
Yeah.
But I do think it's doing more damage the more that it's like stunned.
I'm assuming so.
Because
Feels like it.
Yeah, because when I was fighting the apple, I feel like I had to like use the baseball a bunch, and it felt like it was taking so many hits. Whereas later bosses, I was definitely using more of the volleyball and the basketball and stuff, and I feel like I was taking them out quicker. So
Okay.
Yeah, it would make sense.
I did find out the hard way that earlier in the levels you can throw a bubble up to catch like coins or keys and stuff. I did find out that if you throw one to grab one of the 1-ups that the bosses drop and you let it fall off the screen, it's gone.
Oh no!
You don't get it back.
Dang.
Oh, that's unfortunate. I did not know that one. I thought it would burst at on
Yeah,
the floor.
For some reason it just doesn't bounce off the floor or anything. It goes off screen and then it's gone.
That's weird because you learn basically when you're playing the game that the keys will automatically come to you
Yeah.
when they're trapped in the bubble, but not the
Not the
one-ups.
bonus coins or the lives. You have to go pick those up.
That's great.
It's a really good system.
Yeah. The bosses were definitely easy for the most part. I don't know if you made it. I don't know what world you ended up had to stop at, Trav. But I will say that the hardest boss in this game is absolutely the grapes. The grapes
I was gonna
kicked
say the same thing.
my ass.
I definitely got rocked by the grapes for a while, and then I kind of figured out a good method to fight him, especially when it's throwing out the actual like grapes, the smaller enemies that walk on the ground. Walking under him, you basically wouldn't be able to get hit by those smaller grapes, so it was like a nice safe area.
They
And then you
always
could
go in
stun
a
him as
certain
well.
direction, so you want to get close underneath and then hit them.
Right, yeah, but I didn't figure that out for like 5 or 6 tries.
Not until the rematch.
Oh yeah, I didn't. I did not make it that far. No, I made it to World 4. I don't think I finished World 4 though.
Okay.
Okay.
And then I restarted the game and then forgot to finish it. But I played through Worlds 1 through 3 twice. So I mean that's kind of like beating it.
You
Yeah,
basically
I mean-
played the whole game.
Basically, because
Yeah.
So fun fact: the game does not end at World 5. It says 5 worlds, which is technically true, but there is a 6th world. And you were talking about Mega Man, Trav. We got a boss rush. You have to do. There is a
Oh, hell
marathon where you have to fight every single previous boss all in a row. So there's 5 bosses right there, plus the actual final boss, which is 2 forms.
Yep.
Okay.
It's pretty crazy how much easier the first few bosses were, though, after playing them over and over again, and then going through the boss rush. I feel like I didn't have to like reset or anything until like the final boss.
Yeah, it was the grapes that gave me trouble again, and then that's when I finally figured out the strategy for it. And the first form of the witch wasn't too bad, but then it took me a while to figure out the pattern because she grows really tiny and hard to hit.
Yes.
And if you take too long, her crow comes out and she turns into that crow, a giant version of the crow, and you got to dodge its attacks, which I figured out that if you basically rush towards it, dodge its first spear throw attack, and then keep running towards it, you can get underneath and finally do some damage.
Yep.
It's very much about pattern recognition, but man, there are ways that you can get cheap shot in this, and I think you only have 4 lives to start with, so you die against this, you're back to the beginning of that boss rush and doing all of them again and just figuring that out. So good luck.
That's why I use save states.
I pulled up a long play to look at this final boss rush. And I guess that this guy just clears them fast enough so that other crow doesn't come out. Because it's just, all right, the final boss is this little guy running back and forth, and then he just wins.
I guess if you hit him.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was too fast. My angle was always off that I just barely missed it. So I eventually got to the point where it was taking even longer that I used the baseball, where I figured out the timing of how far I needed to be ahead to just toss the bubble up as I'm running and then hit it so the baseball falls behind me as it's running there.
I got to the point where I was using the soccer balls specifically for that little version of the witch.
Yeah, you're basically like making a barrier that it can't run through.
Yeah.
I guess.
But
Okay.
I guess if I could have hit it with the volleyball, that would have been game over, man.
Yeah.
That witch would be dead almost immediately.
Be a lot easier for sure. But
I guess the good thing about the crow form is that thing doesn't take that many hits to like knock out and then get back to the little witch, because she'll come out and run around again, and that'll go on and on until you actually kill the small form of the witch. I don't think hurting the crow actually takes damage away.
It just brings back the tiny form again.
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord. I'm looking at the grapes fight.
Yeah. Remember that jump mechanic with the weird hitbox? If you have to actually jump over those grapes, you are dead.
Oh, this looks great. Wow.
Yeah, that's
I love platforming.
Weirdly, I feel like the easiest boss was the pineapple, even though it seems scary at first, since it's just on the ground and jumping towards you the whole time.
Yeah, you go into that boss fight room and you hear like what sounds like the sounds of like the mech walking from Mega Man X, and you hear it in the distance, and the boss isn't on screen. You're like, what the fuck is gonna happen to me? And then it's just this. It was easier than the Apple, because at least the Apple, it has like that DVD screen bouncing thing.
Yeah, and then it locks onto you and homes into at one point.
It's like it's got the homing attack on it.
Yeah,
but that pineapple, I don't know. It was so much easier.
And you could only hit it when its shades were down as well. I don't know if you noticed that.
I don't know if
I
did
did
notice
not.
that.
The shades blocked the attack.
I guess I just had decent timing with it, because I did not notice that at all.
Yeah. It's and that's pretty much the game. I don't know if there's really anything else to talk about. We've covered literally every aspect of this game at that point.
Well, we got to talk about the names of the bosses now.
Oh yeah, we do. I do not know the names. So what's our names?
All right, here we go. We got, for the first one, it's the apple. We got Mac the apple.
Oh,
very interesting that they would call the apple.
Hold on.
Yeah,
because it's like a big Macintosh.
Exactly.
Yep. Exactly.
Like the hamburger, the Big Mac.
Yeah.
No. Pineapple. His name is Sluggo. Don't know why. Sluggo.
I don't know the correlation with that one.
Me neither.
Makes me think the last one was a fluke.
Yeah.
Pineapple slug.
We didn't really talk about the watermelon boss too much, but there was a watermelon boss with glasses. His name is Fatso.
Okay.
Let's see. What does it say about him? Calm and restrained. He is a dignified character. Very nearsighted. Same. He
Me too.
sometimes does not see Spanky.
Dignified,
him.
but you call him
get you,
fatso. I love it. Sure.
I mean,
why not?
he uses a projectile. I kind of get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fourth boss was a peach. Her name is, I'm assuming it's a her just based on her eyes, but PP Peach.
PP Peach.
PP is cute but a little bit dull. She is, however, confident. Oh, it says she right there. There you go.
Oh, okay.
She is, however, confident. Child Peach is playful. Yeah, so she would throw child peaches at you.
Throwing her children at you.
Yeah, of
it
course.
looks like. I'm
Very
looking at it
Classic
right now.
boss strategy to throw your own children at the enemies.
Then the great boss, the big.
Have fun throwing children.
My sister just came in letting me know that she's going somewhere and then said to have fun throwing children.
Oh, okay. Thought you like PPs a lot, like PP Peach. You know.
Yeah.
Favorite video game
toss
character.
peaches at your enemies.
So the grapes. The grape is Vito Mascutone. I don't understand that one.
They
either.
decided to make him a mob boss for some reason. Okay,
Vito
sure.
Mascutone. Yeah. Father of many children, not to bore them. Moves around here and there. He throws his children up in the air to play. He is a very busy father. Check out this Spanky lore we're learning right
This is
now.
unhinged. Oh my god.
The witch.
The witch?
The witch's name is Morticia.
Morticia.
Lord
I
of
think I
all
did see that somewhere.
monsters. She uses her magic broom to try to defeat Spanky. That's normal. But
Yeah,
the fruit
that's
bosses are
whatever.
where it's at.
The fruit, yeah, for sure. Okay.
I'm at a loss for words.
Yeah. I think that's a good indication that I think we've said all we wanted to say about Spanky's quest.
The music was so good.
Yeah.
Not
That's all I got,
any
though.
tunes that got stuck in my head, but the music was good. It was like
Yeah.
cheerful and upbeat. I liked it.
It was the presentation all around just really solid, better than you'd think. It was definitely
Oh.
one of the highlights.
Okay, I just skipped around. I'm like, what is this weird jelly ball thing in the preview? It's one of the bonus stages.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
That is a
completely
bonus.
missed those.
Big,
It looks
giant
like you
ball.
found it by throwing balls at a wall.
at a random
The bubble,
wall.
yeah, the bubble
Yeah.
just hits certain walls, and all of a sudden there's the door. You
and
uncover
it's
the door.
it's also random because
Oh,
I
is it?
think I went back to a level, and it was not in the same spot.
oh,
Yeah.
I did not know that.
So
That's
I think it was
good
random.
design.
Yeah, explore everything, I guess.
Bonus secret
Good luck.
levels, you know.
Oh goodness, but yeah, what is our final verdict on Spanky's quest? Would you recommend it as an NSO or tell people to stay away with NO? Naveed, let's start with you.
I would say give it a shot if you're curious. It's a short game. It's like it's not too difficult. I think it's easy to play, easy to understand. There's only 2 buttons, right, that you use.
Pretty much, yeah.
Jump and the ball. Yeah. Honestly, better than I expected. Not bad at all. I would recommend it.
What about you, Trav?
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually thinking about going back and finishing it on my own because I might as well have put the time into it to finish it. Just allocated it wrong by playing the first half twice. But I compared to a lot of the other just weird games you see on NSO, it was like this is definitely a diamond in the rough. I had a good time with it. I liked it. Maybe my standards are just really low, but yeah, I'd say give it a shot.
No, I'd agree with you guys. I mean, I've played a lot of these games at this point, and this feels like the first true hidden gem that I've found in the NSO here. I don't think it's I don't think it's top of the top or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
But as we said, it's definitely a good 7 out of 10. But sometimes those 7s can just be really engrossing and have their own little niche that just feels like, you know what, that's pretty fun. I think once you beat it, there's not really a lot of reasons to go back to it. As you said, it's not too difficult. If you want to go for a challenge, you can not use your rewind and certainly have to replay these levels and figure them out. It would offer a decent challenge, But if you just want to play through it, see the crazy bosses and see what it has to offer, yeah, the rewind helps a lot with that, and it's just kind of a good time. So yeah, I'd recommend checking it out. So what about all of you? What about all of you at home? Have you played Spanky's Quest before, or was this your first time? And before we go, where can everyone find you at? Trav, plug away.
Oh boy, you could find me at youtube.com/@thattravguy. I do content sometimes. I got a video coming out on Metroid Zero Mission pretty soon.
Ooh.
And then on Twitter at the other Trav guy, because that Trav guy was taken. And I'm going back to Twitch. I got different names for all of them. This one's Trav Guy TV.
Oh, perfect. Love to hear it. What about you, Naveed? Where can everyone find you at?
Everything is basically just my name, Naveed Mohebbi. I think on Twitter it's just Naveed_Mohebbi, but everywhere else it's just my name, full name there. So,
yep,
making a new video finally. It's been like over a year, but I'm really excited about it. So hopefully I'll have that out here.
Excited for it.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to checking that out. So yeah, definitely check out both of them, and thank all of you for joining me. And if you want to join us, if all you joining us enjoyed this episode, God, you're not the only one that can't talk, Trav. Let us know in the comments, and please consider supporting us at patreon.com/gvgaming, which includes our live audience tier that will allow you to watch Game Club live as it's being recorded. But now it's time for the Wheel of Games to choose next week's title, as I'm joined by my special guests, Caitlin and Vivian Flynn. Are you both ready to see what game we're playing?
Woo! Spin the wheel.
You ready for this wheel? Let's bring it up. Bring up that wheel and give it a spin. What are we playing this week?
Beer.
Are we finally going to get a Game Boy Advance game? I highly doubt it, but we'll see anyway. And we're going to be starting with Winback Covert Operations for the Nintendo 64.
Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! I love Winback. Let's go!
We got a win for somebody. I have never played this one, but there you have it. We'll see you next time as we cover Winback for the Nintendo 64. Thanks for watching, and until next time, bye.